Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Alright, you ungovernable misfits. I'm your host, Max. Everybody knows that Bitcoin is useless, worthless, and doomed to fail. But what if everyone's wrong? What if it's the system that is doomed to fail? Join me as I speak to some of the brightest people in the space and slither to the deepest, darkest depths of the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Welcome back, guys. Not in person this time, but very nice to speak to you again. How are we both?
Yeah, I'm good, man. No seedy hotel room this time round. Purely remote.
Shame.
But, doing well.
What about you, Antomous? Lurking in a seedy hotel room?
Yeah, that'd be nice. No, unfortunately not. doing well.
Well, yeah, nice to have you both back and looking forward to going through this list. It looks like a big list we've got this month. We'll do the same structure, if that's all right with you, Antomous, and you can go through and I can ask stupid questions and you both can school me.
Wonderful. Yeah, then we'll jump right in.
Whose squeaky toy was that?
That was, apologies, that was my office chair.
Oh, I thought it was a dog toy. It sounds like my dog toy.
No, I just decided that I wanted to stand up, so I put my chair out the way.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll jump right in. First is BISC v1.7.4. That's definitely something to watch out for. They're switching from V2 to V3 Tor addresses, and they've set the date for the 15th of October. So at that point, they won't be supporting V2 addresses anymore. So definitely be sure to update by the 15th of October.
So presumably this will render all of the old firmware completely useless, essentially, when they do that update. Is that right?
I presume, yeah. They also introduced new payment methods with Swift, Paysera, and Paxum. Not quite sure about the last two, but Swift is definitely a well-known payment method.
Yeah. Oh, I had a question on BISC, just because someone wrote out and asked me a question the other day. You know, they have these BISC tokens or whatever, they got BSQ things. I've never used them before. And someone was saying, where do I get some of these? Like they tried in a couple of groups and no one had got back to them. And I was like, I thought you could just buy them on there. I've never done it. Did either of you know what's the easiest way for people to get these tokens?
Yeah, you can buy it on BISC. So there are people offering trades, and then you pay in Bitcoin, and then you get BISC tokens. You can obviously put up offers yourself. It's basically, as I understand it, it's like colored Bitcoin. So it kind of does still run on the same block time. But the one big advantage is that you can use it for your trade fees, and the fees are then a lot lower. So if you are doing a lot of trades, you might have to pay a bit of a premium to get the tokens, but once you have them and you're doing a lot of trades, it is a lot
brings
more
the fees down.
They're also used as incentives for like bounties for like improvements to the protocol and improvements to the code base and stuff as well. So if you, I think they do it for documentation as well. So if you were to create a good guide, you can sort of go to the BISC DAO and say, look, this is what I've done. And they, if they recognize that as being valuable, then they can sometimes hand out somebody's DAO to these BSQ tokens that, that you can ultimately turn back into Bitcoin if you wanted to as well. So
that's cool.
I think also the support team and the mediators and so on, they get paid in that token. So they obviously also want to sell. So there are always quite a few offers up.
I think what it was, this guy was new to Bisq and then hadn't done a trade yet, but he wanted to do his first trade using the token. I think that's the reason that he hadn't worked that out. So he was trying to buy them elsewhere. So that maybe there are other places, but yeah, I've never used them, so I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, we've got Bitbox O2 firmware v 9.7.0. Just minor updates there. The next big one is Bitcoin Core 22.0. They changed the naming there, which takes getting used to.
We've gone from 0.22 to 22.
Exactly.
What's the thinking there then? Is that normal? Why have they done that?
Yeah, I think that the reason it was 0.21, the previous version was because everybody was working on the proviso that like Bitcoin's kind of still in beta, but in reality it's not, is it? You know, the network's been running 99.999% of the time for the last 12 years. Then it's, you know, we're here, it's working. So let's not beat around the bush and let's call it a proper number. Why they went from that to, instead of just going to version 1, they've gone straight to 22. No idea. Who knows? Or
20. Do you know, I had a theory on this when I heard it the other day, just like a fleeting, stupid thought, which was maybe they thought that they started at 22 because 21 is our number and 22 is then going forward from that. Is everything worthwhile? And so I thought, well, maybe that's what's gone through their head, because there's no other logical reason, is there?
Not that I can think of anyway.
Yeah, weird. But anyway, it works. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so they got quite a few notable changes in there. Can maybe go into a few in a bit more detail. The first are on like the networking level. They've got I2P, which is the Invisible Internet Protocol, basically a Tor substitute or alternative. Mm-hmm. I don't know if one of you've tried that out. How, like, what the infrastructure is like. Is that usable?
Not yet. But fun fact, I actually downloaded Core for the first time this week for another project that I'm working on. And I'm on version 22, so I might have a play around with I2P just to see how many other sort of peers are out there on the network. My guess is probably not a lot, but...
Is it different to what they have in Raspberry Blitz when you're trying to link to your BTC Pay server but have like one hop so they can't see your IP? Isn't that called IP2 Tor? Or something very similar.
It is called IP2 Tor, but it's a completely different thing than I2P. I2P, like Antomous said, is like a completely separate network, peer-to-peer network, whereas IP2 Tor that you're referring to is essentially sending your Tor traffic that's on your node at home via a virtual private server that's ran by somebody at Raspberry Blitz to then turn that signal kind of into a ClearNet address, so that, you know, if I wanted to go to your BTC Pay store that you're hosting at your node at home, I don't have to visit some stupid Tor address. I can go to the ClearNet address. So
right.
A bit of a workaround.
Okay.
Yeah, then they've also got the same as with Bisq as well. They're also dropping V2 addresses for V3 Tor addresses, and I think that is active as soon as you update to 22.0. So there's no date set for that. They've also got quite a few updates to the RPC. There's a lot of technical stuff in there. I don't know if there's anything specific that you want to jump in.
No, the big one here is the GUI change, so that you can now, using HWI hardware wallet interface, which is the sort of translator tool, I guess, that allows hardware wallets to talk to Bitcoin Core. You can now use any hardware wallets that are compatible with HWI, so Coldcard, Bitbox, I want to say Trezor as well. You can use those directly with Bitcoin Core through the GUI now. Until in previous versions, you had to, it was all command line stuff. Now, if you're using a compatible wallet, you can just download Core and HWI. It's a separate install, and then you can use your Coldcard or your Trezor plugged. It has to be plugged in, but you can use it with Bitcoin Core. So for the hardcore amongst out there that are listening that don't like to install software such as Spectre or Sparrow, that, you know, is potentially another man in the middle, I guess, then you can now use your hardware wallet directly with Core.
Is it only possible if it's plugged in via USB?
Yeah, for HWI, yes, but you can still use PSBT on Cold Card or Passport as well. That works through the GUI as well.
Okay.
So it's just the big one here is the HWI bit where you're sort of plugged in and using an external sign-in device.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, moving on, we've got Blockstream Green v3.7.2. They've set up a complete new UI and also SPV for single sig. Single sig is definitely big update there because I've had the situation as well, having funds locked up for a year.
Really?
Which I was,
oh shit!
Yeah, I mean it wasn't dramatic because I wasn't planning on selling it anyway.
Is this because of the stupid 202 multi-sig setup?
Exactly. Oh. And if you, I had it set up with a two-factor authentication, and I lost my phone, and I didn't have the codes backed up, and that was the only 2FA that I had. So I had to wait a year for the lock time to expire.
Well, at least they did a lock time, because otherwise, you would have been fucked there, wouldn't you? Wow, exactly. I'd have been panicking.
Yeah, at the beginning, I was it was pretty brutal. That was like in the first months digging in, but yeah, no, that was fine. At the end of the day, I mean, it worked perfectly as intended. You just have to wait a year, and then you get it sent out to an email address that you provide, and then you can sweep it.
Cool.
But now with single sig, you definitely have the option to use it with just one key. They've also brought out Blockstream Green Desktop v1.0.0, which replaces Green Address app. I don't know, I hadn't used that before, but that's basically a desktop version of Blockstream Green. Blue Wallet v6.2.8, which is also a big one. Q&A, you want to jump in on that?
Yeah, so they've added the ability to import wallets whilst Blue Wallet is offline. You can also now add custom derivation paths. So let's say you're using a wallet that uses custom derivation paths, like Select Samurai Wallet. There's different accounts within that wallet, and let's say you lose access to your dojo, which your Samurai Wallet is backed to, and you need to quickly access the funds in your Samurai Wallet. Well, if your dojo's offline, then you can't. You could import the wallet now into Blue Wallet, set the derivation path, which are absolutely public, and they're on walletsrecovery.org. So if you were into a pinch, you could just import the seed and the passphrase into Blue Wallet, set the derivation path to say your Postmix account, and then create a spend from there. If you were in a pinch.
That's cool.
And they've also added, they'd already added the ability to add a passphrase, but I think they've kind of walked it back a little bit and moved it into the advanced bit so as not to confuse people, new people coming in that might inadvertently add a passphrase when they're importing a wallet,
right? When
they didn't really kind of intend to. So it's still there, they've just hidden it away a little bit more.
It's incredibly simple to use. I've found when I set up my passport the other day and linked it to it, I was impressed just how ridiculously easy that was.
Yeah, the whole QR sign-in between a device like Passport and Blue Wallet, especially if it's on your phone, it shortens that whole sign-in process down to literally a couple of seconds, isn't it? Compared to like the SD card shuffle, if you like, where you've got to fumble around for, especially if you're using your phone, you've got to fumble around for the adapter and stuff, and signing with the QR code back and forth is a bit of a game changer once you've done it, especially on your phone as well. And I know that's not in everybody's kind of threat model to have a watch only for their cold storage on their phone, and you absolutely don't need to do that. But very, very slick. Yeah, once you've tried it, I was massively impressed.
I only tried it just to try it, so that I was like, I've given it a go. But then I actually thought, well, this is quite nice, because sometimes I do want to keep a little bit more in my phone wallet than I'd probably want without having a way to sort of secure it a little bit better. And I was like, it's actually quite a nice sort of middle ground. You wouldn't want to keep all your funds on there, obviously, but yeah, it's quite a nice feature, and I think it is one that I probably will use. So I was impressed with that, and definitely if I was setting people up, when I'm onboarding people and they're just sort of dipping their toes in and playing around, but I want them to be secure, it's pretty slick. It's pretty usable.
Yeah, definitely. There's a big gap between, download this app to your phone and scan this QR code versus, set your node up, download Spectre, connect Spectre to your node, and it removes a lot of steps. And obviously, Spectre's got a lot more functionality and stuff, so it's apples and oranges. But in terms of, like you say, onboarding, it's pretty big.
Breeze 0.12.ln address is out. That's also a big one. Lightning addresses. There are quite a few wallets now integrating that. Most of them, unfortunately, just on the send side, but there are also a few now with also from the receive side.
Do you want to cover off what Lightning address is for those that have not experienced it?
Lightning address is basically it uses LNURL, which is basically a method to be able to pay someone without requesting an invoice directly from them beforehand or receiving an invoice beforehand. So with Lightning address, you set up like an email address. You have a username at domain, and that is then linked to a server which sends out or sends back the LNURL to your wallet. So you can just save this Lightning address, like an email address, and pay anyone at any time as long as their server is running.
So the server is for me is the weak link here, isn't it? Is that most people are going to rely on somebody else's server. I think you can self-host via some of the node implementations, so it's possible to do it yourself in a sovereign manner. But it's, again, with the whole server thing, it's only accessible when your server is online, or the server that you're connected to is online. So, but it does seem to be gaining a lot of traction, I will say that.
Yeah, I think it does have a lot of potential, just so you don't need that exchange directly of both parties having to be active. That does take out a lot of friction, so you don't have to communicate directly beforehand. And it obviously makes it a lot easier to save that information and to have a better overview of who you're sending to and so on, just saving the addresses.
It's kind of like the next step from key send, where you could send without an invoice. Well, Lightning address is that, but it also allows you to presumably sort of store a list of Lightning contacts. So you could send to max@bitbybit.com and sort of add that to your contact list in Breeze. And then, if I repeatedly wanted to pepper Max with sats, then it's going to be easier than fumbling around for his Lightning node pub key, working out which one's his, and then sending sats to that. It's just that extra wrapper of UX around it that makes it a lot more approachable.
Feel free to do that. Having things like in a contact list would make a massive difference. I just think, like, for little things like that would make me personally use it more. Just like the slicker it gets, the more I want to use it. I still don't really use Lightning unless it's like for tiny amounts. I still just prefer doing things on chain. But once these things are like, you have a little address book and you just click on someone's name and it's done, as long as it's not glitchy, then that's really nice. Then how different is that to something like Revolut or something like that, in terms of interface? Not really, is it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Go ahead, Antomous, sorry.
Yeah. At the end of that's the workflow that you, like also with PayPal and stuff, you just punch in an email address and send it off. Obviously, as Q&A referenced to at the beginning, it's all hinges on on how stable and secure that server is.
Sure.
But I think that should be something that can be implemented in like node packages or something, or you might have to set up like a VPS or something yourself.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what the options are there, but that's something that will be built out in the coming months, I guess.
Cool.
Then we've got BTC Pay Server v1.2.4. They also got bug fixes, and especially recommend for people you're using shared hosting. Caravan v0.3.11. They've got a fix for Coldcard. And then Coldcard v4.1.3. That's also a big update there. Yeah, Q&A, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, the main one is they've added support for import descriptors so that you can use Coldcard air-gapped with Bitcoin Core, which you could do anyway, but they're now supporting the descriptor-based wallet exports, which is the kind of the direction that Bitcoin Core's heading to in terms of descriptor-based wallets. As kind of a unifying standard over and above the kind of legacy type. The functionality is largely the same. I'm just reading the notes now. It's on desktop, yeah. So I'm not sure what, in terms of end user experience, the improvement here is. It's just they're supporting a different descriptor-based export from Coldcard that you can use within Bitcoin Core. But like I say, you could use PSBT in the previous version anyway with the old sort of export types. So probably going to get peppered in the comments for this one. I'm not understanding it, but yeah, they're using descriptor-based exports now anyway.
And they've also removed the derivation paths with M0 or M00.
I'm not sure what 00 is.
I mean, it says that it's like an old derivation path that isn't being used by any wallets anymore. So you can still set it up manually, but by default, it's not supported in the public TXT.
Got it.
Yeah, so I think it's just to save space there and efficiency. Yeah, and then a whole bunch of bug fixes, getting the UX a bit more smooth. Then we have Electrum Rust server v0.9.0. They've done quite a few enhancements to get the performance up.
Yeah, so this one has been long awaited, and I know Craig at Sparrow has been keeping his eye on this one. So Electrum Rust server is the kind of Electrum server that's incorporated into 99% of the node packages that are out there today. So that's kind of the index database, if you like, that allows for faster transaction referencing. So if you're importing a wallet that's already got transactional history, the wallet software that you're using is likely going to use Electrum Rust server to sort of look up the list of historical transactions for the addresses that are on that wallet, which it was fairly good at, to be fair. Electrum, it was much, much faster than Bitcoin Core for doing the same task. However, with this release, we're talking exponential improvement in speed for sort of wallet lookups, and also exponential improvement in database use. So whereas I think the old Electrum Rust server used to take like 70 gigs, maybe something like that on your hard drive, then the reports are that it takes 60% less now, which is absolutely huge. So far more technical than me as to how they've done it. I've speaking to Craig at Sparrow and Kitan from Ministry of Nodes who've already implemented this, and they're sort of mind blown at the performance enhancement. Obviously, those of you that are running MyNode Umbrel, running Dojo, etc., you're going to have to wait for those teams to update their end so that you can benefit from this. I'm sure they'll all be keen to, given the sort of massive performance enhancements, they'll all be keen to get that in as soon as possible. And I think at time of writing that, MyNode is the only one, at the time of writing, at the time of recording, MyNode's the only one that's updated, but I'm happy to be corrected about that.
No, I mean, that's also the only one I've heard of. And also what it does is obviously with freeing up that much storage space, you're prolonging the lifetime of like a 1 terabyte like storage capacity. Because I mean, we're coming up to, towards like the 500 gigs. I mean, that will be like in the next year or something.
Mm-hmm. I think with Electrum server, we surpassed that last year, which most node implementations run, which kind of ruled out a 500 gig hard drive for anybody running it on a Raspberry Pi. So
definitely, yeah. And at the beginning, when you're doing the initial block download, you basically need it double, don't you? I mean, you need, if you're doing like on MyNode, you've got that option to to like rebroadcast as well for others. And
the quick sync feature,
yeah, and they've got something like the double the amount, and I mean that definitely makes 60% of whatever the 70 gigs. I mean that's quite substantial.
I stand corrected as well. Umbrel had a release this morning that's got the latest Electrum Rust server in as well.
Fully noded v0.2.27 has UX improvements and bug fixes. Immortan v0.2.5. I've not used Immortan. Can someone fill me in what that is and what that?
No, I've not either.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask this.
Sorry about that.
It's all I know is it's essentially a Lightning implementation geared towards mobile. So it makes some trade-offs to make sort of running your own Lightning node on a phone far more approachable. How they achieve that pass, but it's fairly new. I'm not actually sure if any wallets have implemented their this protocol. But one to keep an eye on because it seems to be getting mentioned a lot more, especially in the sort of mobile space.
Maybe if anyone listening knows anything about it, they can reach out and I can see if I can speak to them. Sounds quite interesting.
I'll do a Marty Bent for you and read the header of the GitHub. Immortan is a minimal, privacy-focused, opinionated LN protocol implementation aimed to specifically power light LN nodes, which are mostly found to be on mobile phones or desktop computers, and it only runs private channels. So you ain't going to be doing any routing on this, but it's geared towards the end user that wants to spend and potentially receive some donations or whatever. So
cool.
But that's then completely standalone. So you just have that on your wallet or like integrated into your wallet on your phone. And that's standalone. You don't have to connect to a node back somewhere. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is sort of its own. But then if you're only having private channels, like you said, there's no routing. So it's kind of, it has its use cases though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's still interoperable with LND and C Lightning and everything like that. It's just like a lightweight one that doesn't do any of the routing and probably just sits on the edge of the network, connecting. I would presume it'd be best practice to connect to a larger node if you're going to use it on a personal level just for spending and maybe the odd receive as well.
Okay.
Cool.
Then we have Ledger Live Desktop v2.33.1 with UX improvements and bug fixes. Mempool.space v2.2.2 got quite cool new enhancements for their graphical representation of the mempool, which is quite cool. Moon Android v46.10 is out, and they unfortunately don't release any release notes.
What's the thinking there? Why is this that they don't release any? Is that just like they never do, or just this month, or this release?
No, they never do. I don't know
why.
If they have it somewhere else where they post it. I couldn't find anything.
No, you would have to go and look through all of the merge requests on GitHub to glean what's gone on there. Like Antomous said, I've never been able to find where they do the release notes. So maybe it's just a Twitter thing and they just announce the big stuff, I guess. If it's unexciting, they might not deem it necessary to do any release notes. But they're on version 46, so they seem to work at a pretty quick pace. Just to jump in as well, going back to Immortan, the only wallet that's out there in the wild at the moment that uses it is called Simple Bitcoin Wallet, which I believe is available on, it's just Android. So if you're interested in trying it, you can go to lightning-wallet.com and give it a whirl. I have actually got that on my phone. It's just reminded me, so maybe I'll have a play around with it, but that's the one that's actually put into practice. So sorry to jump in.
Sure. Cool. MyNode v0.2.42 is out with software updates, including the Electrum Rust server, which is definitely worth implementing as we went over that. Nix Bitcoin v0.0.52 with software updates, Bitcoin D and Electron Rust server. And then we have Passport v1.0.7. They released the same version in beta last month, and that is now a full release this month. As I could see, there's no changes to that. Is that right?
Yeah. The big news is the Spectre support. So Spectre Desktop now natively supports Passport Wallet. So if you were to download the actual desktop software, the Spectre desktop software from the website, you'll see Passport as an option in there. If you're using Spectre server, so on Ronin Dojo, MyNode, all the Node implementations, you'll need to wait for those guys to update their end to be able to benefit from this. I know MyNode and Umbrel and Raspberry Blitz have already done their end. Ronin Dojo guys, it's going to be in the next release. I don't think anybody else packages Spectre server, do they? So that's a pretty big one, because obviously Spectre's a very popular wallet, and there's also testnet support in there, which I think we mentioned last month as well. So handy for people who want to dick about and not worry about losing any sats.
What's this passphrase swapping thing? Does that literally mean you can set the wallet up, have a passphrase, and then decide to change your passphrase, but still have the same?
Yeah, previously you had to, if you applied a passphrase and you wanted to switch to another passphrase, you had to turn the device off and then start again. Now that you just go into the passphrase menu and change to the next passphrase, you don't need to power cycle the device, so it just speeds the whole thing up.
That's interesting. I thought that if you were going to change your passphrase, you would have to just basically start from fresh, because like when I've set mine up on the cold card, I'd set up a new wallet, and then if I'm adding a passphrase, then it's obviously different. It changes my backup, my 24 words. As soon as I've done that, it's like completely separate. So I assumed if I ever wanted to change it again, I'd have to start completely from fresh. Is that only in Passport?
No, it doesn't change. If you add a passphrase, it doesn't change your 24 words. They're still the same. It just adds what the phrase that, obviously a passphrase can be word or words or numbers or a combination of any of the above. They get added to your 24 words or 12 words. It just essentially adds more entropy and creates a completely different master private key. So it's essentially a new wallet, but it doesn't change the 24 words. It just adds additional entropy and generates
you're right.
a new sort of really long string of numbers, which is your private key, essentially, which is why you see new addresses when you apply a passphrase. So it is a separate wallet. It just uses some of the same entropy, but adds some different stuff at the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I was getting myself confused there, because I was thinking when I'd set the thing up that, like you said, the addresses are different, and if you then start it up and you don't put your passphrase in, it will show obviously zero balance. Whereas because it's a separate wallet, so that's interesting to know you can change it after the fact.
Yeah. So it just saves you having to power cycle a device. So handy, if let's say you've got you're using a Passport and you've got sort of passphrase 1. Don't use that obviously, but you've got that to manage your KYC Bitcoin, and then you might have passphrase no KYC.
2.
Yeah, and you can just switch back and switch between the two, and to easily manage those separate pots. It literally in a matter of seconds.
Okay, so just to be clear, so that I don't misunderstand this, it's not that you actually changing the passphrase for that one wallet, basically.
Correct. You're switching between the two.
Exactly. Okay.
So I was confused again. Yeah, that makes sense. Fine. Okay. Yeah, so you can just jump between wallets is the thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you can't, in fact, change your passphrase once it's been set up, because it would change the private key.
Yes. Yeah. So if you set a passphrase and then sent funds into that wallet, you can't change that. That wallet is you'd have to
right.
enter the passphrase again and then empty the wallet.
Right. Yeah. Fine. Perfect. Back to where I was then. That was my original understanding. Cool.
Okay. We've got Phoenix v1.4.17. They've also implemented Lightning addresses, which is also big there, but also just on the send side, so not on the receive side.
Does beg the question, with everybody implementing it on the send side, where can you actually receive using Lightning address? Does anybody know?
Yeah, I took a look beforehand, and under lightningaddress.com, you can see which wallets have implemented on which side. But all the ones on the receive side, I'd never heard of. So I'm not quite sure if these are wallets or just like service providers who have servers set up, but I had not heard of them before. So, and then you can basically set up a Lightning address with them using their domain.
Right, got it. Yeah, I'm just looking at the website now. So there's CoinOS, which is custodial. There's Lightning Tipbot, which is custodial. There's LNTXBot, which is custodial. And Zebedee, which is the gaming platform, I believe. I'm going to presume it's custodial. I don't know. I've never played with it.
It is. I'm almost certain it is.
So, I mean, it's obvious that the custodial guys were going to do that first because it's much easier for them to implement, I guess. So what I'm gleaming from this is that unless you're running your own bridge server, then you have to use a custodial solution to receive. Again, happy to be corrected on that one for anybody listening.
Yeah, I guess that's probably just a question of time now, how long that will take. That should probably be set up in the next months, I guess. I mean, that's just a wild guess, but if the whole system is supposed to work, I think there must be some kind of easy self-hosted solutions to come out.
Yeah, it looks like LNbits is working on it, and I know that's implemented in Minode and on Raspberry Blitz as well. So that'll probably be the first one that's sort of self-hosted, if you like.
Yeah. Then we have Ride the Lightning v0.11.2 with a hotfix. They had problems with the LND integration, but they fixed that. Ronin Dojo v1.11.1 with bug fixes. Rust Lightning v0.0.101 API updates and bug fixes.
0.0.101 is a horrible release version. Does anybody agree? Like when does it get to 0.1? Also, just want to jump back while we're talking about Ronin Dojo. Did anybody see the tweet last night with the teaser of the plug and play node?
I did. Yeah, I was quite aroused.
Yeah, I remember hearing Matt Odell. He was talking about coming home from some conference with a like milled node box.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't mention Ronin, I think, but that makes sense probably now.
It looks so nice. Do we have any idea of a price point and also what it's going to be running? I assume it's not just a Raspberry Pi in there. I'm guessing they have something a bit more powerful.
Yeah, it's a Rock Pro 64. Price point, I don't think it's been finalized yet, so it's I don't want to share that. And I think they're looking for a release before Christmas, so it's not too far away.
Oh, it's a perfect Christmas gift, isn't it?
100%, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a really sort of proper weighty bit of kit. I was speaking to Matt, and he said it nearly fell out of his hands when Zelko dropped it into his hands because he was shocked at how heavy it was. Which makes sense if it's milled from a single block.
Yeah.
Looks might be the first sort of node package that you'd be sort of proud to have on show, I think.
Yeah, it looks unbelievable, and these sort of touches, like having something weighty, just instantly makes you appreciate it more. Like just that feel. I can imagine if it's from one block, is going to be amazing.
Should help with cooling as well massively. I don't think there's any plans to have fans in there because essentially the whole case is like a metal heat sink, if you like.
Yeah.
It should be nice and quiet as well.
Very nice.
Anyway, apologies to hijack the conversation there.
No, looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Then we've got Samurai Dojo v1.11.0. They've got postmix decoy change addresses. I'm not quite sure. Is that because when you have when you're sending out to a different like address type, that's pretty clear that that is the spend. Is that the idea here, that you just automatically use a different like change address type?
Yeah, so it ties in with the latest Samurai Wallet update as well. These two go hand in hand. Basically, let's say from Postmix, you've got all of your UTXOs in Postmix. They're all on Betch32 BC1 addresses because that's what Samurai Wallet does. And then you need to pay to a merchant that only uses wrap SegWit or the 3 addresses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you pay from a BC1 address to a 3 address and then you get some change back to another BC1 address in your Postmix account, it's obvious that the payment is the one that's going to the 3 address.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now the change in that scenario will come back to a 3 address rather than a BC1. So it's unclear as to which one's the payment and which one's the change, because they're both going to the same address type. So it's just, again, undermining another heuristic that the chain surveillance firms use to try and to sort of track the flow of funds, because that's all they're trying to do at the end of the day, is work out what's a payment and what's a self-spend, to see when the sats are sort of changing hands.
But hasn't that been implemented before, like in the deposit section of?
Yeah, it's been in for ages for the deposit account. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a bit more of work to do in the Postmix account, because until now the Postmix account only knew of BC1 addresses, SegWit addresses, whereas the deposit account has always had the ability to receive from 1, 3 or BC1 addresses. So that was already there and has been for ages, but it's, like I say, it was a bit more work to implement into Postmix, because you needed the other 2 addresses as well.
Sure, because you're never sending directly into Postmix, are you?
Exactly.
It's always going through. Yeah, okay. Samurai Wallet, that's then directly the next one, v0.99.97a. That's the same thing. Postmix spends can now make use of the like type change feature. Yeah. Okay. So that's the same idea, right?
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, the 2 releases go hand in hand.
Yeah. Then we have one of the biggest news of the month with Sparrow Wallet v1.5.0. Huge update with integrating Whirlpool. It's been teased for a few months now, and everyone's been high on waiting for that. Yeah, but now it's out, and a lot of people have been giving great feedback on that. It seems to be a major hit.
So this is, I don't think we can understate how big this is for the privacy space, because previously, if you wanted to use, in my opinion and many others, the best coinjoin implementation, Samurai, Whirlpool, you had to have an Android phone. That was the prerequisite to be able to use Whirlpool. You have to have an Android phone. So that priced out anybody that didn't have an Android phone, essentially. So this has opened up basically the iOS user and the desktop users. They can now download Sparrow Wallet and take part in Whirlpool transactions. The coordinator is exactly the same between Samurai and Sparrow Wallet. So what that means essentially is that users from both wallets are going into the same mixes and coming out into the same liquidity pool, so that there's nothing to kind of distinguish between the two. So there was a theory going around from some of the naysayers that sort of questioned the Samurai implementation.
Nobody questions Samurai implementations, do they?
Never. So there was some criticism that, if you're not running your own dojo, then Samurai can quote unquote de-anonymize people who are using their servers. Well, now we've just added into a mix. If you're using the Sparrow implementation, you cannot use the Samurai servers. You either have to use a public Electrum server. Please don't do that. You can connect to your own Bitcoin core, or you can connect to your own Electrum Rust server. So anybody that's entering the pool from Sparrow Wallet, Samurai has no information on them whatsoever, like nothing. So it's just more people into the mix. Another option, like I say, it's opened it up to everybody. Anybody that's got a computer can now use Whirlpool. There's no Android prerequisite. And because he's a... Go on.
No, I was just going to ask, have we seen an uptick in liquidity since this has come out?
Oh, yes. I'm just going to load up Clark's dashboard now.
I thought we might do.
Yeah, we are... We're up to 4,246 Bitcoin. So in the week or so it's been out, we've added about 250 Bitcoin to the pool.
Very nice.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't stress enough that the kicker here is that because we're all in the same liquidity pool, Samurai Wallet users benefit from Sparrow doing this, and Sparrow benefits from more people entering via Samurai. So it's just a massive improvement all around. And also, there's two other things as well, but because Craig Raw is an absolute boss, is that he's also implemented Stonewall. So if you've done your mixing through Sparrow and you want to make a privacy-preserving spend, you're not kind of left on your own to decide which UTXOs you want to spend. He's implemented the Stonewall algorithm, which is a fake coinjoin using just your own UTXOs, so that if you want to leave the pool from Sparrow and spend to whoever, you can do so using Stonewall to add or to preserve your privacy when you're leaving the pool. And he's also gone kind of one up the Samurai team, I guess, if you like, in that he's got Mix 2 cold storage built into the user interface. So to spell that out, so let's say you start a mix with 1 Bitcoin in Sparrow Wallet, you leave it running, you've got 10 remixes, and that's the number that you're happy with. You can set Sparrow Wallet to now automatically send to another cold storage wallet. So let's say you've got Passport being managed by Sparrow. You can say, well, after the 10th mix, I want you to send these UTXOs one by one automatically into my Passport wallet. No extra steps, no user input after you've set that. It just does it automatically, which is massive, because previously what you needed to do if you wanted to do the same through the Samurai setup is that you got your remixes, and then it was a case of, well, you can either do Stonewall spends, you can do Stonewall X2 spends, or you can do single UTXO spends. So there was which absolutely works, and it's been the standard practice for ages. But there's more gotchas doing it that way than having it done automatically through Sparrow Wallet with no further user input. The other kicker here is that doing it that way through Sparrow means that on the final mix, when that UTXO lands into your cold storage wallet, it still looks exactly the same as every other UTXO that is within the liquidity pool. So for anybody looking on chain, that 0.5 UTXO that you've just sent to your cold storage automatically, Max, could still be waiting for remixes because it looks identical to everything else. But you know that it's in your cold storage and you don't need to touch it for 5-10 years or whatever. But it looks absolutely identical, which you didn't have before, because the very nature of making a spend meant that you either had to pay minor fees, so take a little bit off, or you had to use like Stonewall and stuff, which would change the makeup of the UTXO. So it was, whilst it was privacy preserving, it was obvious that you'd left the pool, whereas you don't have that now because you still look identical to everybody else. So it's massive.
It's so clever. And is there a way of sort of setting it so that obviously like a amount of mixes, and also can you set like a fee rate so that, for example, 10 remixes, then I want it to go to my cold storage, but I don't want to pay more than X or whatever.
That's the amazing thing, isn't it? Because
you're not paying it because it's already done.
It's free.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so then the only thing you're choosing is the amount of remixes, and then it automatically goes, which also means, like you just said, you don't know if it's then going in to be remixed again or not. It's impossible to tell that, but also it would break like you're not going to do a load of transactions at the same time, because I found that sort of what I've done is to send things off there. I'll kind of, if I'm doing them individually, I'll sit and do them all in a day or across a couple of days, which I know
which is bad for
isn't as
timing
good.
Analysis. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's better for that as well.
There is Craig's built in I think it's in the protocol actually, but there's built in. So let's say that you choose 10 remixes, it won't do that after every 10th remix that each UTXO gets. It will do it within a range. So it might do some after 10, it might do some after 12, it might do some after 15. And that's again just to break anybody sort of advanced attackers that might be sort of trying to follow certain UTXOs and noticing that after the 10th one they stop moving. So it's built into a range so that it's not the same amount of remixes every single time, if that makes sense.
And I think what's really important also to point out with this whole Whirlpool integration is that the incentives are aligned so perfectly for many other wallets to integrate it, because it's a way to monetize your wallet as well, especially for open source wallets who rely on donations. This is an opportunity to collect fees on people coin joining, but all contributing to the same liquidity pool. So I think that the whole setup is so perfectly done to now hopefully the first of many to implement it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Like you say, everybody's a winner when that happens as well. So I was just shocked at the speed at which he did it as well. It seemed as though he mentioned it like literally a matter of months ago, and it's done. And I think there's a few people that think there's like a team behind Sparrow Wallet as well. Well, it's just one guy, and which is the other mind blowing thing. So yeah, if anybody listens to this and take anything from this whole podcast, is download Sparrow Wallet and try out Whirlpool. You can do it with as little as just over 100,000 sats, which is is what, like $60-$70 maybe at the time of recording. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to put up a lot of capital just to test it and see if you like it.
Wonderful. Moving on, we've got Spectre Desktop v1.6.1 pre-release. They explicitly say don't use it if you don't know why. We'll probably wait till next month, see about that. We've got Sphinx Relay v2.2.1, introducing contact blocking. Thunderhub v0.12.28 with some fixes. Trezor Suite v21.9.2, and then Umbrel v0.4.2 with some updates. And then probably today, Q&A, you mentioned they brought out a new release. Today is probably the 4.3 with Electrum Rust server.
Yeah, that was the big one. I think they rushed the release out as well because I think there's been a LND bug been discovered. So I think there's a couple of the node implementations that run LND, which is most of them have done a security update. So that was the main headline for the one that's just come out this morning. LND 0.13.3, which includes an important security fix. Doesn't specify what it is, but they've put it in big bold letters to say security update. So if you're running a Lightning Network node, I would make sure that your LND is up to date.
Okay. And then last one on the list is Zap Android v0.5.1 beta. Just minor changes there, advanced channel details and bug fixes. Yeah. So that was the list of software updates. We've also got quite a few different releases and articles and educational content in this month's list. A few things you want to jump in there and talk about?
The main one that I wanted to highlight was Econo Alchemist's running a node of the Blockstream Satellite Guide. And I know that's kind of isn't going to be mainstream. I just thought it was really good, a really sort of robust guide, as is always the case with him, to get a node set up and running with the Blockstream satellite, so that you don't need the internet to receive blocks from the network. I think that we're only 50% of the way there, because obviously you can't broadcast through it. Although it's it's really simple these days to construct the transaction, save the sort of raw transaction, and broadcast it through Tor via many of the different services. So you can do so privately. I've got a feeling that with the sort of packages like this that Blockstream are putting together, that this might sort of might take off if they can sort of nail down the process and sort of wrap a shiny graphical user interface around it, just to make it a bit more approachable. I think it's got legs, especially given what we've seen in the last 24 hours, where half of the internet seems to have disappeared. Does anybody know if it's back up yet, all of the stuff that went down?
I'm not sure, actually. I know WhatsApp's back up again. I know that went down yesterday, along with a load of other stuff. Do we know what the reason was?
No, it's unclear to me yet.
Yeah, some kind of certificates for the domain down, but I'm definitely no expert on that.
I saw something on Twitter, and again, it's on Twitter, so I take it with a pinch of salt. I just really, really, really hope it's true that the Facebook employees couldn't get into the building to try and fix the problem because their passes were linked to somehow with the Facebook servers, so they couldn't actually get into the building. Again, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it did really make me smile. And I hope there's some truth in it anyway.
That's funny.
Just imagine the entire communication in the entire organization. I mean, that is all running via their servers. I mean, that's all down. No communication, no email, nothing. That all has to be run via separate channels. I have no idea if they have some kind of backup system there to switch to, but otherwise you're just scrambling to find people on their private email addresses.
Think about how many hundreds of thousands of people have opted to use that. When you're signing up into a website and you can sign it with Facebook.
Yeah.
Presumably all of those people are completely fucked right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see Jack trolling on
yes.
Twitter?
Yeah.
I thought that was good. That was good from him. That was very funny.
Was that real that it was up for sale? Or was that?
I think it was, because I saw a subsequent tweet saying that it's been fixed.
Right.
Okay.
It's funny though.
It's crazy. Yeah. We've got a few more things I'd like to highlight here. One, we spoke about that last month as well, but definitely worth going through all of the videos, is the intro to Samurai Wallet that Q&A did with Brother Rabbit, who was also on last show. That's definitely worth watching for anyone new to the Samurai stack.
BitcoinTV.com, if anybody wants to go and watch.
Then there's also the LNURL point of sale from Ben Ark, which is definitely a really cool little gadget. It's basically a small point of sale that you can get set up with really cheap hardware for basically about 10, 15 euros, something like that. And you have, it's completely offline, and it just provides, you have a small little keypad or number pads, and you can punch in the amount that you want to charge, and it spits out a QR code that just provides the LNURL, so just the URL to so you scan that with your phone, and then you link up to the server to get the invoice, and that QR code is a lot smaller than actually transferring the entire invoice. So it's a lot more lightweight and can be used completely offline.
Right. I see. I saw the video that he did and it looked really cool. The first thing that popped into my head was, well, this is on Lightning, so how is it offline? Because the very nature of Lightning is that you need to be online. So is it that the actual point of sale device itself is offline, and it
is offline, but the phone? Funnily enough, our 12th edition of 21ism for code, I featured Ben Ark, and we've gone into this in a bit more detail how it works. He explained it all to me, and that's actually going live today, which means it's going to be live when anyone's listening to this. So if they want to like dig in and learn a bit more about it, they can also go there and have a look.
It was
through.
almost as if we planned that, wasn't it? That was beautiful.
It's nice, isn't it? And I can just say as well, he's a really fucking nice, down-to-earth guy. Like I had the pleasure of chatting to him, and he's done so much, and what he's doing with LN Bits and all the other projects that he's done. But the guy is so humble. Really, really enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, he seems like a proper tinkerer, doesn't he?
He loves it.
Yeah.
Especially for like El Salvador now, as well, like with people wanting to sell stuff just with no big infrastructure or so on. You can just you don't even have to have a cell connection. So it's pretty amazing.
So do we know how it's doing the? I don't want to steal the thunder from the podcast that you just referred to, Max. But how is the point of sale device communicating back to the server? Do we know?
Through the phone of the person who is using it. So the actual point of sale is offline, but whoever has a cell phone would be any data would be going through that. Right.
Okay.
So as I understood it, there's like basically you set up a link between the point of sale device and the server, so they exchange a key pair, so that the point of sale device can just regenerate LN URLs,
right.
and that is then passed on through the phone so that the server can authenticate that it comes from the point of sale device, and then sends out an invoice.
So the point of sale device is truly offline. It's not talking to the server. It's got a secret that it needs to generate LN URLs. Right. Exactly. Okay. Perfect. That's cool.
Yeah. And then there's also Compass Mining has now, they're also selling miners for at-home mining, which is definitely cool. I mean, I guess you'll probably be getting them at a premium in comparison to like Telegram groups, but you've got them, I mean, it's from a more reliable source, but that's definitely a cool addition to have that.
I got a feeling that the prices of miners are going to skyrocket over the next 12 months with the way that the global supply chain's heading. Anybody agree?
Yeah, I feel that it's most likely, but then because it's general consensus, it also makes me think that's going to be wrong.
True.
But yeah, it's most likely. I think the thing is with buying miners, if you can get reasonably priced electricity and you have somewhere to put them, even if the price doesn't go through the roof, it's still a good idea to do it. So the risk reward is there. Like if you buy them and they go through the roof and you decide to sell them on or keep them, then you win. But even if the price doesn't go through the roof, you still win. So it's worth getting them if you can, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the difficulty is absolutely going bonkers at the moment. That's crazy to see. I mean, a few months ago, everyone was predicting it would take a year, maybe 18 months to reach all-time highs again. And we're basically there now.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
What we've recovered the China stuff. We're back to the same hash rate already.
Nearly. I think I mean, the thing is with hash rate, I mean, that's always kind of, I mean, you've got a moving average, which is always pretty difficult to determine exactly how high the hash rate is, but it's definitely gone up considerably. And I think we've had 5-6 difficulty adjustments or positive difficulty adjustments in a row, which has been pretty crazy to see.
I'm just looking at Clark's dashboard now, and we must have just had a retarget, and the blocks are still coming in at 8 minutes and 43 seconds. So that would indicate that there's still more hash rate coming on now.
Yeah.
Estimated difficulty change. I know it's early days in this mining epoch, but the estimated difficulty change right now is 16% increase.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad my miners are not yet online. Probably when they do come online, we're going to be proper all-time highs, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of people ask the questions about compass mining, and I definitely don't want to dunk on them. But that's something that I'm still waiting on to see how that's resolved. They had like an issue now in summer with hosting facilities, so that the deploy dates for miners from August and September were postponed. Like target date is now the end of October. So we're still, we'll still see if they keep.
We
that.
shall see.
But that's definitely a big blow now. The last 2 months, losing that.
We shall see. I'm sort of speaking to them in the background. I'm going to try and resolve things and then report on it honestly, but I don't want to speak on it until a solution has been found. So I'm not 100% sure yet, but hopefully it gets resolved.
Absolutely. And I have to say, like, the communication has been amazing. They've been very upfront about it all, being available for questions. Support's been good. So obviously, at the end of the day, what counts is the time the miner goes online. But in the meantime, they've been doing everything they can, as far as I can tell. Yeah,
awesome. I think are we done, gents? Anything else?
No.
No,
I think that was good. That was a big one this month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. Fundamentals still making me very, very excited on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it's all good, isn't it? It's all good stuff. The most exciting one for me is this Sparrow stuff. That is really, really exciting. And as soon as I set my Sparrow up and get going, I'm going to be playing around with it. It sounds amazing.
Definitely, yeah. Everybody go and try it, and donate to go to sparrowwallet.com/donate as well.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your days. No one gets me out of bed as early in the morning as you two.
Just for everybody listening, it's 11:24 a.m.
Only for you two. I don't normally get out of bed until at least 2. So yeah,
be honoured.
Yeah. No, thanks, guys. It's been really good, and look forward to next month.
Cheers, fellas.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys. Speak later.